This year, the federal government is expected to implement the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, for contractors. Eric Crusius is a partner at Holland Knight LLP. Eric, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
So we're currently talking about CMMC 2.0. Give us a quick overview of the type of requirements.
Sure. CMMC 2.0 is going to have 3 levels. The first level is going to be about 15 or so controls that contractors who don't hold very secret or important information have to comply with. It's going to be a self-certification. Level 2, if you have controlled unclassified information, 110 controls, and that will be verified by a third-party certifier, assessor. And then level 3, they haven't quite defined it yet, but it's going to be something more than level 2. That's going to be, the big contractors who have the plans for the missiles and things like that.
And is 2.0 the final, or is there going to be a 3.0? Is there going to be a 4.0?
Eventually we'll probably get to like 20.0, to your point, but for now 2.0 is where it is. And when I tell folks who are asking that very question, because that's a question a lot of folks are asking, is that the core of it, compliance with NIST Special Publication 800-171 and those 110 controls will remain consistent throughout. So even if you're worried that there's going to be a CMMC 3.0 or 4.0 or 5.0, you still have to comply with those 110 controls. In fact, that's a requirement now. It's just a self-certification right now.
So let's talk about the self-certification and what's involved in that, and what the risks might be of self-certifying and then finding out later that not so certified.
Yeah, it's a pretty big risk. The biggest risk is the False Claims Act, because if you're a contractor and you knowingly or recklessly say that you're compliant with something and then you're not, then the Department of Justice or a whistleblower can bring a False Claims Act action. On top of that, Department of Justice released a memo recently that said they're going to look very closely at cybersecurity self-certifications, and if you're self-certifying and you're not compliant, they're going to look to terminate your contract and get their money back and things like that.
So how long and how much money would it take to get the full certification?
That's a really good question, and it's kind of unknowable right now, and it partly depends on how far along contractors are in their cybersecurity journey, so to speak. So folks who are just starting out and really need to get up to speed, could be easily a 6-figure endeavor. Contractors that are most of the way there and are just going to be hiring an assessor to come in and really verify what they've already done, that's a low 5-figure. These are all estimates, of course, but a low 5-figure endeavor. So somewhere in there, of course, it's going to hit small businesses the hardest who don't really have those resources to kind of put that out.
That's what I wanted to ask you, is what do the small businesses do that typically don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of time?
Yeah, it's a tough problem, and I think the answer eventually will be there'll be these third parties that kind of populate the marketplace, and some of them are already there, that allow a back office solution for those small businesses where they can host all those small business data that they have. And then when an assessor comes in, they mostly look at that third party, who they've probably already looked at 100 times because other folks are using them, and they just look at a few controls for those small businesses. So that's probably the least expensive part of it. But last year's NDAA 2022, Congress said to DoD, what's the impact on small businesses? What's going to happen to them? Are shrinking in defense and industrial base, will it shrink even more? And the small businesses are really concerned about that, and DoD is due to issue a report on that.
We've been talking about CMMC for a long time. We've been talking about it on this program. When's it going to roll out? When's it going to actually become a requirement?
Right. So the biggest news and the most current news is that DoD has announced that this rule, and it will be either a final interim rule or a proposed rule, is moving over to OMB for final consideration imminently. So any day we'll see it move over, and once it's at OMB, it could be released at any time. I expect it'll take a little bit of time for them to review it and to release it, but that's pretty big news that they're sending it over to OMB, which is the final step. From there, it could be a few months or so, but contractors who are not ready for CMMC should really start now, because it's a 6, 9, 12-month process to get up to speed. So if this rule is being released sometime this year even, we're running out of time. So
your recommendations start now, but I wonder what beyond that, what should they start doing specifically to get ready?
So they should really kind of do their own gap analysis. Look to see, if I have controlled unclassified information, how many of these 110 controls are we compliant with? Look to see where they're at in their journey, and then maybe hire a third party to come in and help them through that process. And it's not inexpensive to do that, of course, unfortunately. But DoD will say, this is the price of doing business with us. We're losing all this data to foreign nations, and we need to do something about it.
And right now, we're only talking about CMMC for defense contractors. Is there any discussion about this being expanded to civilian contractors?
Yes, there's been rumors flying around that the civilian space will pick it up, the agencies will pick it up. I mean, we had the federal acquisition regulation roll out decades ago in the effort to smooth out differences between agencies. And of course, then agencies develop their own regulations like the DFARS and other agencies too. And the hope is that right now, cybersecurity compliance is very stovepipe. Different agencies are requiring different things, but civilian agencies I think are paying very close attention to what DoD is doing, and if DoD has a smooth rollout of this, I think they'll be quick to pick it up.
And it would seem like a good idea because, of course, DoD is for national security, but there's still critical infrastructure and other kinds of things that require a lot of really good cybersecurity.
Exactly, yeah. The agencies, civilian agencies have information that's just as critical to this country, to your point, as DoD does. The only kind of roadblock is this definition of controlled unclassified information. I think it's causing a lot of confusion in the marketplace, so I think if DoD and the civilian agencies really clarify that, and I think there's move to do that, I think things will be a lot easier.
Okay, well, we'll keep watching it and we'll keep talking about it until, until it happens. Thank you, Eric, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.